All right, I just thought I'd do a little chill music. Get this morning started. I just wanted to jump on here, do a quick segment on some things that I've talked about before and some new stuff. First thing I want to talk about is the electronic signatures. Uh, Whether they're legal or not, I mean, just about anybody that's dealt with financing, purchasing a home, doing a loan. A lot of times these companies aren't in the same state as you are. And in the old days, they used to have to pay FedEx or somebody to uh, mail the documents to you. You sign them, you put them back in another envelope, you mail them back. Then along came the electronic signature. Now, saying that, even with electronic signatures, in the end, when it was a finalized uh, transaction, there's still a physical signature on a paper document. I don't know about you guys. I've bought a few houses in my time. It's always been that way, even with electronic signature. And saying that, once again, in my opinion, the pardons that Biden did with electronic signature should be voided, uh, and they're possibly illegal because the story is President Biden wasn't even in the same state at the time that the pardons were signed, or even if they was in the same state, if he was still in Washington D.C., he was not the one who signed these electronic signatures. It was possibly staffers who did it. And then their argument is that uh, with the approval of President Biden, he can authorize a staffer to sign his name on electronic signature. I don't think that's true. It's a pardon. Now, these are preemptive pardons, most of them, which means that, which is something that's unprecedented. It's never happened before. You pardon people for people who has not ever been charged for a crime. And the odd thing is you pardon them back all the way to 2014. That's the odd thing about that. That's a story all in itself. But right now I'm talking about the electronic signatures. I kind of agree with President Trump. They don't, they're no good. The thing about that is okay. So all these politicians and Capitol policemen and all these witnesses that he pardoned, morning Doris. But the thing about that is uh, the electronic signatures were also used on people who had been charged and were already in prison, like the individual that killed four police officers that he pardoned, and a few other people who done nasty crimes like that. Which that always gets me. It pisses me off. These people want to argue about Trump being bad for releasing the J6ers uh, when they claim they five police officers lost their lives. No, the only person that lost their life was Ashley Babbitt, a young lady who tried to crawl through a window and was shot by a I don't know if they were in the Secret Service. They were part of the security detail inside the Capitol, um, but shot an unarmed person. That's the only person that lost their life. These people, these police officers, they claim uh, one I think had a heart attack. One of them, two of them committed suicide. Why would they commit suicide? Look at what the police officers across this country, when Antifa and BLM and all them were rioting and throwing bottles and bricks at the police officers and all kinds of foul things. Yeah, you know what I mean? You didn't hear about all these afterward stories like committing suicide or something like that. Why the Capitol Police? Why two of them committed suicide? Which wondered on it? Because I said in my last live stream, these extreme leftists are crazy. They're willing to do anything, whatever's necessary. Maybe these police officers didn't want to go along with their story, wanted to tell the truth. And of course, in the world of politics, you can't tell the truth. If you tell the truth, you end up being publicly smeared to the point to where you're afraid to say anything, or you either have a heart attack, which is a common thing, especially if you know anything about the Clintons, or you commit suicide. It's an odd thing. So, if this is found to be true, that these electronic signatures were not President Biden's, they were indeed staffers. So, these people they let out of prison. Now, I'm not talking about the politicians or the Capitol Police or these witnesses. I'm talking about these actual criminals that they let out of prison. These people who have killed multiple people. They're going to have to go and round them back up. And now you got Hunter Biden who had a pardon. And if that was the same thing, that was done at two different times. All these things were done at different times. The the politicians and the witnesses and the Capitol policemen, they were pardoned in the 11th hours, as they call it. So like basically the last day. The rest of the pardons were done way before that. So was Hunter Biden's pardon electronically signatured, or was it an actual signature on a piece of paper, which is to me the best, and it really should be the only legal way to do it. That way there's actual physical paper records. And let's be honest, that the government, they're still in the how they do things. It's still by paper, because look at the retirement records for the government employees that are in that mine shaft. It's all paper, all of it. So if something like that is all paper, how come you can do a pardon electronically? Makes no sense. So I think these pardons are going to be voided out. I think courts will probably go along, but they're going to have to prove certain things. And if they can, I think the courts will agree and side with. So that'll be that's like a Christmas present to Kash Patel and to Pam Bondi, isn't it? And President Trump, because then he can go after people like Adam Schiff. Yeah, and those Capitol policemen who actually lied, because they got video of that was completely different from what they said they did and encountered to where they was and what they didn't do. Those people need to be held accountable. They need to be charged with perjury. So we'll see how that plays out. So that was one thing on the story. Then the next one is let's see here. I want to go with What about this district federal judge that tried to stop uh, President Trump and 238 uh, Trende Agra? Sorry, can't pronounce that. I have funny. I have a language problem. I can't hardly say anything that's Spanish. I don't know why that is. But anyways, Agra, uh, trying to stop them. Now here's the kicker, and I ain't saying that Trump and them was wrong, but usually when a judge does say something verbal on the bench, that's when the ruling kicks in. Now, saying that, they went ahead and put the planes in the air, and by the time that, oh yeah, it's a paper document that was signed to stop uh, these gang members from leaving the country. Uh, but they were already in international waters when the paperwork was done. So where did they go? El Salvador, which I guess what they did, because everybody thought they were all going to Gitmo, but come to find out, it's cheaper to send them to the El Salvador prison because all 238 prisoners are going to be housed for a year for $6 million. Sounds like a lot of money, but if you look and see how much waste and the multi-millions and sometimes billions of dollars spent on stupid shit across the world, $6 million to house 238 gang members that do drug trafficking, human trafficking, sex trafficking, murder, robbery, extortion. So, and I'm not sure that President Trump's going to win this one in court, but I kind of agree with just about everybody else. Why in the hell can a district federal judge stop the will and the decisions of the president of the United States? Now, I think they can challenge the president's ruling, but I don't think they should be able to stop it until it runs through and has to go up through to the Supreme Court. Because in my opinion, that's the only ruling that should count against the president of the United States. It's what the Supreme Court decides, not some district judge. I mean, and all these judges, they're all, left-leaning judges. It's, what is it they say? They go judge shopping when these leftist prosecutors and lawyers and stuff and politicians want to throw a wrench into the works of what President Trump is doing. You should not be able to do that. And I think you might find that they're going to be butthurt because this will go to the Supreme Court. And if they side on the president's side of this deal, it'll set a precedent going forward that these district judges can go jump in a lake. Now, saying that, so the media and the left politicians are all up in arms. Were they up in arms when the Supreme Court told President Biden that you cannot use American taxpayer money to do loan forgiveness for college students? What did he tell the Supreme Court? Go fuck yourself. I'm doing it anyway. The Democrats cheered him on. But yet we're horrible because we're cheering President Trump on when he's telling these lower level judges to, and he's abided by just about all of them up to this point, from what I understand. and he's lost some. He's won more than he's lost as far as these decisions to be reversed. Like they're having to put the IRS employees that were on probation that you should be able to uh, let go without any explanation, because that's the whole idea of being on probation. You're a brand new employee. Even if there's a union, the probationary period gives the company the right to get rid of you without explanation. Well, apparently they're going to have to be reinstated in their positions, at least for now, with pay, back pay. They're going to get paid everything while they were off, which what, 2, 3 weeks. So that's one of the cases that didn't go President Trump's way, but it's a small portion. That don't mean that uh, they're not going to eventually going to go away, because doing it, I guess, with the same decisions but a different process, he'll be able to get what he wants done in that kind of scenario. So that's another situation. So we'll go on to the next one. The next one is, matter of fact, I'm going to play a video. This is on the swatting. I've done a video before, or actually live stream, about the swatting. It's a dangerous thing. These people are using the police departments to try to, basically, the end goal is to assassinate the individual using the police department to do it, because the police department are going in guns blazing. And I'll show you a quick video. Their guns are out. They got the AR-15s. They're ready to pop somebody. They're sneaking up on the porch. They got it on their doorbell cam. So let me get to that. I got a couple videos. I got to find them. They're out of sequence, but we'll get to it. Go. So this is somebody being swatted. This is 1:15 in the morning. You got these cops. Now, the individual at his home here,
There's been 3 or 4 guys in here.
if he goes, sees people with a gun and not paying attention, being half asleep. Look at this. See, the cops are checking doors. What if that door was unlocked and they walked in there? If they're going to be on a heightened, their anxiety level is going to be high, because they're expecting something awful. Because typically they claim it's a hostage situation. Somebody's there trying to kill somebody or rape somebody.
It's really none of my business.
It's crazy.
It don't look like there's been 3 or 4
This
guys
this
in
is
here
what can happen.
shot everybody.
I've said it before. I've called these people clowns. Oh, hang on, the video's still playing. I gotta stop it. Sorry about that. I'm still new at that. So, anyways, I've always called these people clowns, but you gotta go to a different level with this now. They're dangerous clowns. This is their versions of Civil War. This is the coward's way out. Instead of facing you face to face and starting a conflict of some kind, they're trying to use the police department because they're cowards. These are truly the individuals that still live in mommy's basement with Cheeto stained hands and crumbs all over their chest, on their t-shirt, playing video games and hating life because they got no no friends. Uh, but there are the crazies out there who will walk up to you, pull a weapon out, and end your life. You got to assume that from now on. You can't, like me, I always thought they were just ignorant clowns. Well, they're ignorant, dangerous clowns. So be aware of that. If you are heavy into politics like myself, content, all these content creators, in the last like 3, 4 days now, there's been like 20 some swattings that's happened. Uh, and they're even saying that some of these possibly are coming from Ukraine, if not all of them. Why is that? Makes you wonder, don't it? I'll move on to the next one. I'm a little slow on these stories today. These are last minute things. I said I'd jump on here and opine for a minute. So I got that one. Got the swatting situation talked about again. The swatting thing really concerns me a lot, guys. Okay, so swatting. We talked about the prisoners. I've got a video. I don't even know. I don't even need to show the video. You guys have probably seen it plastered everywhere of how these El Salvadorian prison guards, how they handle these prisoners. And I don't think they're being handled that harshly, but if you listen to somebody on the right, because they're forcing them to keep their head down while they're walking, and then they shave their heads and stuff. Well, a lot of these prisons, especially if you're probably in a foreign country, they probably have a lice problem. So shaving the heads is kind of like for, personal hygiene reasons. Hey, Riley, how you doing? So, my thought and theory on that, fuck them. I'm pretty sure my gut tells me Trump's going to win this one, but we'll see. So the next thing I want to talk about is, did you guys see Ewan McGregor's got in the press room with I can't think of the young lady's name. President Trump's press secretary, the lady that gets in there and talks to everybody. I think her last name's Levitt. He got up on the podium real quick and was telling the dangers of open border policy, what his country's looking like now, and basically a warning to us that the core fabric of your country, when you let this many people in from other countries, the country changes, and as he said in the press conference, not for the good. They're losing their identities. The Ireland people are proud people, but their politicians open the borders up just like ours did. Why is it these progressive politicians all over the world are doing the same exact thing? It's almost like they have these global meetings when they get together and discuss how they can screw shit up. You know what I mean? It's like, really? This is your plan? Why would you want to change something, especially America? I mean, America, think about this. Proud people, risked it all. Traveled across the country and through in the frontier and settled this country. Now, was it all good? No, it wasn't. Were the Indians treated badly? Yes, they was. But were they innocent? Because the Indians were very savage like towards each other. before we even got here. So they were always having wars amongst each other for territory. It's no different than anybody else. The only difference is there was more of us and we had better weapons. But we did nothing different than they did to themselves before we got here. So I'm not excusing how this country got started, uh, but you got to be honest with the facts there. Like I said, this country was built on pride. Get out there and make a life for yourself. And we've tried to correct our sins of the past, like to end slavery and to give everybody equal rights. Because back then, if you didn't own land or something, you couldn't vote. They talk about. I've said this before. They talk about the white man this and the white man that. Those same white men. Other than slavery itself, we still had a lot of white people that were forced into servitude because they had no money or anything. And, even though they made, a lot of them didn't get paid now, they had to work for so many years just for that ticket on that ship to get over from Europe to here. And then they had to work for years for nothing but for room and board. That was it. Yeah, I know it's not as harsh as working the field. I get that. I'm never saying that it wasn't. But those same, and I say it's 2% of the country is actually who ruled everything and made all the decisions. So those same people that they claim as the man, doing this to him, the man's doing that to him. That same man's doing it to us too. So, but like I said, we were proud people. This immigration issue it's diluting the strength of America. And even like the minorities of this country, the black people, once they were freed, they were very proud people. They still are. You know what I'm saying? So pride has always been the core. Pride and religion has been the core values of this country. And like I said, we spent decades and decades trying to correct our sins and make it better for everybody who lives here. But when you let in over 10 million people in 4 years, that makes no sense at all unless you're wanting to destroy the core values of this country. You had I've always said that two reasons why they would do this. One, the long game is to change the voting base of this country to where a Republican would never win again once these, I'll call them invaders, because, Trump and he enacted that act of Aliens Enemies Act of 1798. Is how come he didn't turn that plane around. But so these people are considered invaders. Now, saying that, he did not go through Congress and did not declare war on these people. And they're not a country. They are a group of people. But President Maduro has already said that those people were let out of his prisons and his mental institutions and sent our way was by the request of President Biden. Now, that's not me just saying that. That's President Maduro saying that himself. And Trump is alluding to that now. Why would he do that? So that's the second reason I think they're doing the open borders and deliberately keeping them open. That was their policy, deliberately keeping them open. One is to change the voting base. Two is, if we don't go quietly, and they can't trust the U.S. military to go against its own people, because the U.S. military is us. It's our family members. So they can't trust that our military would do the bidding of the Democrats. But if you had a imported army that has no ties to this country and no loyalty to this country, only loyalty to the people who let them out of prison and sent them up here to the land of milk and honey. So that's the reason number two, to import their own army that would be loyal to them and not to the rest of us. It's a dangerous thought, but it makes sense. But why? Why is their power that important to them? Well, I have a good reason or good explanation for that, and that's why all the hate is coming towards Elon Musk and President Trump over Doge. We're finding where they're hiding the money. And you know what they say, follow the money, you'll find the people who are committing the crime. So now that we're finding the money, it's only a matter of time before we find out who's committing the crimes. Going to be a lot of people on the left, and there's going to be some people on the right too. This is why they are anti-Trumpers, or that they've done a very good job in the public eye to do that Trump derangement syndrome. They've made Trump look so bad over the last 9 years that it's stuck in their heads. No matter what Trump does, it's good. Orange man bad. So there's nothing he can do. And anything that Trump is doing that's good for the country, the Democrats want to do the opposite. They're on the wrong side of history on this one. I was going to see, how was I going to say that? I was talking the other day about the motivation of President Trump and Elon Musk. Everybody, you hear the left, well, they're trying to enrich themselves. They're trying to make their buddies richer. No, they're not. Think about this, guys. The most powerful people in the world are not politicians. The politicians work for these people. So if you was really wanting power and money, because they're already rich, which means they obviously know how to make money. And if they wanted to use the government to make more money, why do it in the public eye as being part of the government? Why be a politician? Why be somebody who works for a politician like Elon Musk is doing right now? And these gentlemen are doing it for free. So what's the motivation? It's not greed. They can make more money in the private sector. They can control the politicians behind the scenes, because the politicians aren't in charge anymore. It's people like George Soros. Think about that. George Soros has done more bad things to this country than any other name that you could mention. But he's never been a politician. He does it behind the scenes. He makes his money controlling the politicians, getting them to vote a certain way for certain things that would enrich him even more. And all he wants to do is create chaos in this country because he inserts all these far left prosecutors who lets these criminals out time and time again to allow them to commit more crime. Do you ever think you'd ever see that in this country? I didn't. That shows you how many weak-minded people are in charge of things in this country. Until now. Now you have a strong-willed individual, and we know how strong he is because they've tried to throw him in prison. They've tried to put him 6 feet under more than once. But he's still wanting to do the job. Elon Musk is losing money. Death threats. You know, people who work for him, people who buy his products are in danger. It's not greed. It's things they feel like they need to do. Because if they don't do it, we're in trouble. The Democrats have put us in a hole so fucking deep that you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel without Elon Musk and President Trump putting that ladder down in that hole and helping us to climb up out of this crazy debt that we're in. All these politicians getting rich off us and creating havoc across this country, allowing people in with open borders and committing crime after crime after crime, using up our social services. Look, all you politicians are crazy greedy. Yeah. Governor Gavin Newsom, taking $3.44 billion from Medicaid funds for his state and put it in his Medi-Cal fund to pay for the medical needs of illegal aliens. Florida has a $660 million bill to pay for illegal aliens using the medical services in that state. And nationwide, we're on the hook for over $16 billion for just ER visits from illegal aliens. They get money from FEMA. They get money from USAID. They get money from the EPA. I mean, they are pulling money out of all these departments to help fund these illegal aliens, places to live, food to eat, cars to drive. Some of them get jobs, but then they are thrown into conditions that is awful, like my town, the Haitians. They work through a temp service. This temp service picks them up, takes them to work, brings them back. They live in these bunk houses, which are owned by the temp service company. They charge $200 to $400 a bunk. There's usually 12 bunks in each house. This is why a normal person can't afford rent around here, because the rent is so high, because these landlords are wanting these Haitians to live in these houses so they can make that $1,800 to $2,400 a month in rent for a house that ain't worth more than $550, $650 a month before the Haitians come here. You know, you see them at the grocery store with 2-3 carts of groceries and hand over a card to pay for it. They drive cars that are practically brand new and wreck them. destroy them all over town. You'll see accidents, rollovers, people getting hit in the ass, them driving down the wrong way on a one-way street because they can't read signs and they can't speak English. This is our government who did this to us. Our president, previous president, Biden. Now, I guess I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just throwing this information out there. And I always ask why. Why would they have done this? One, to change the voting base, and two, to insert their own army when we get out of line. But they didn't win. President Trump won. What they're doing with Doge is saving the go back. Can you see me? Yeah, I don't know what happened there, guys. The lost signal. Apologize for that. I'm hoping you're still with me. Um, kind of lost my train of thought there. But anyways, the motivation, I guess, Elon Musk and President Trump. I just spelled it all out. Uh, the arguments that the left has of why Elon Musk is doing this, it makes no sense. The only thing that does make sense is Elon seeing the writing on the wall. He's got a lot invested in this country. He come to this country. He's done amazing things here. Best electric vehicles, best electric vehicles in the world are created by Elon Musk. Best internet in the world is created by Elon Musk. Starlink is an amazing thing. The yachts, and because I tell people all the time I'm fascinated with yachts, and there's other reasons why I'm fascinated with yachts, and it's not a good thing. It's my theory on sex trafficking. But anyways, used to a yacht going across the Atlantic, they cost them $2,000-3,000 a month for internet service, to have internet for their clients and the owners of the yachts, so they don't lose it going across the Atlantic. Now you have Starlink. Even with a commercial grade Starlink system, it's less than $500 a month. I mean, you got to buy the equipment. The equipment for the yachts is like $2,000-3,000, but then you're only paying $400-500 a month for internet. And if you get it as a personal individual, you can get a mobile deal, or you can get one attached to your house. You pay like $400-600 for the equipment, and about less than $200 for the internet, and you can, if you get the mobile deal, you can go anywhere with it. You know, put it on your RV. You got internet, no matter where you go in the country. That's an amazing thing. Then you have SpaceX. Elon's doing something NASA can't do. The American government with NASA spends so much money that we can't afford hardly to do any space exploration until Elon Musk come along. He's proven that it is economical for a country to start reaching out to that last frontier. Although the ocean is still a huge frontier, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of places in the ocean because of the pressure you can't hardly get to explore. But now we're looking towards the heavens again. We're going to go to the moon. May even colonize the moon. And I think the moon is where they should have the starting point for ships to go to Mars. Now, I'm not quite sure why they're so interested in Mars, to be honest with you, because just what I know, what little bit I know, it's not a habitable place, but they think they can make it that way. And, you know, more power to them. They're smarter than I am. They got the reasons why they want to go to Mars. But the fact is people like Elon Musk has made it affordable to think about again. You know what I mean? It's for those who like to explore. There's been a time in this country where that dream died. Now people are thinking about it again. But look, the astronauts are coming home tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Yeah, I think it's tomorrow. So they've been up there for 9 months. They were only supposed to have been up there for 9 days, I think, 8 or 9 days. But they got stuck. And NASA couldn't go after them because the rocket ship that they were using was, I think, Boeing, and they couldn't trust it because it had too many failures. So they were going to say it's going to take 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years to get them home. Elon Musk stepped up and volunteered, says, I'll get them home. And it won't take a year and a half to do it. And what they do this week, they sent a whole new crew up there, and they're bringing those 2 astronauts home. Elon Musk. So why are these people hating him so much? I get it. He's different, and the way he handles things is different. They're trying to say he's an asshole and all this other kind of stuff. I say no, he's got a mission and he's on task, and that's what he's thinking about. He's not thinking about these individuals' feelings. He's thinking about all the rest of us as back pockets. But then there's my theory. Follow the money. They was trying to create chaos and change the fabric of America. Well, it looks to me like with President Trump and Elon Musk and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and now Dan Bongino, we're about to change the face of our government. Because some of these people have done illegal things. And you can't change my mind on that. Because there's no way all this stuff happened through legal processes. Not all of it. There's no way. Can't wait till they find them. It's going to be interesting. This electronic signature thing, we'll see how that plays out in court, that's going to be interesting too, because that'll change all kinds of things. That means Fauci probably will be charged and convicted, along with some of this J6 committee people. And man, Adam Schiff. If anybody needs to go to jail, it's that Adam Schiff dude. He is a piece of shit. We'll see how it plays out. This has been like a slow paced deal because I only really wanted to talk about a couple of things, but you know how I get to rambling and I start talking about other things. So anyways, I do appreciate y'all jumping in. I just wanted to do a quick segment today. Don't forget, share these videos if you find them, because this will be a video when it's done. If you find any value in it, share it. If you're not following me on Rumble, Empty Pockets Podcast, follow me on Rumble. I'm going to start the end of this month. I'm going to do Rumble only content, because I can't have some of these discussions I want to talk about on YouTube. So if you want to get involved with some of those topics, just follow me on Empty Pockets Podcast on Rumble. And if you're not interested in that, you want to stay on YouTube, those are on YouTube. Watch me. You're already subscribed to me in Jimmy Pockets. Because on my Empty Pockets Garage channel, this stuff's going away. I'm not going to be doing it on that channel no more. So these are the only two places you'll find me. And I plan on starting to have some more guests on a regular basis, like Killer Carl. I'm on his show every Saturday night. Saturday Night Free for All with Killer Carl on Rumble. I'm going to see if he'll do a jump in on one of mine once a week. Now, I don't expect him to jump in on my Sundays live streams because he's already done so many of his own live streams during the week, because he streams every day. He's a good dude. He's got a lot to say. He says it a lot faster and more eloquently than I do. I have my own way of doing things, I guess. But I'm going to try to do one tomorrow. If you don't catch me this week, catch me this weekend. If not on my own live stream, catch me on Killer Carl's live stream. And those, I say it all the time. Anybody wants to come on here and, we can have a conversation about the topics of the day, and maybe even a debate if you don't agree with me. Email me. It's in my bio, my email address. Just email me and I'll send you a link. You can go to my Facebook page, Empty Pockets Garage, and send me a message if you want to get on here. You don't have to be on camera. You can leave the camera turned off. Just have the mic going so we can have an actual verbal conversation. Yeah, I want to do more of that. To me, it makes for more interesting content, and that's what I want to do, is make better content. I know I need to get better at it. I've done this only for 2 months. It's been a little over 2 months as far as this live streaming on a regular basis. Still learning. Anyways, in case you don't know, my name is James. And until next time, guys, I'm out of here. Y'all have a good one.